Shall I wrap that for you, sir?
Oh, that's all right. My saucer's just outside.
They come from miles to enjoy our intermission.
And now, on with the show. This is WSJT-TV, Vineland.
Hey kids, I'm hyped up on Benzedrine and ready to go! It's your Uncle Slappy! No, you know what? After 32 years, it's still not funny. I'm sorry, Mike. Hey, it's pabsungenis, and welcome to this month's live stream. After the aborted attempt last month, we're going to once again take an attempt. It looks like I got plenty of bandwidth tonight, though, so hopefully we'll be able to make it through the entire evening of classic cartoons. And just like last month, we're going to start it off with a classic silent era Felix the Cat. And that was Crazy Cat Goes A Wooing by George Harriman. I was just hanging out in the chat. That took me a second to realize that the cartoon had ended. One good comment I loved about the Felix the Cat short from Patrick Justo, looking more like Felix the Rabid Cheetah. Yeah, they really took quite a while to get the look of Felix just right. They were going for a more realistic cat design instead of a cartoonish one at first. It wasn't really until they settled on the nice big round face and the triangular ears that Felix really became Felix. And of course, Crazy Cat, George Harriman's comic strip, classic. And George Harriman, much like I owed my comic strip career, George Harriman owed it all to one man. Not a lot of papers carried Crazy Cats, but all the Hearst ones did, because William Randolph Hearst wanted to read it every day. So that's why Crazy Cat appeared until Harriman's death. That is not the oldest cartoon that we have tonight. I've got some more silent ones here coming up. I've got an Out of the Inkwell coming up, which I will warn you right now is completely silent. They never came up with, at least not when this print was made, the official sound version of any of the Out of the Inkwell / Coco the Clown cartoons. They're starting to adapt them now that they're really getting into the preservation of the cartoons. But the one I have coming up tonight is completely silent. But first, the real inventor of modern animated cartoons. No, not Disney. Winsor McCay. Hey gang, Pab here. Since there is absolutely no soundtrack with this copy of Out of the Inkwell's The Ouija Board, I thought I would just pop in and give a little expert commentary. Coco was the first really successful character created by the Fleischer Studios, Max and Dave Fleischer. They were some of the biggest names in animation. For example, they created the cartoon version of Popeye, among many other characters. We're going to see a few of them later on tonight. One thing about Out of the Inkwell, what made it unique was that Coco literally came out of the inkwell and would interact with her cartoonists, or his cartoonists. It was never really established whether Coco was male or female, as far as I know. And another very interesting thing, Coco is an early example of rotoscope animation. That means that what happened was that the Fleischers actually shot film of an actor and then drew Coco over each frame of the film. So that's why the movements look so natural here. And you can nowadays you can see some rotoscope with such creations as Richard Linklater's films like Waking Life and In a Scanner Darkly, or his new one, which I do recommend very well, Apollo 9½. And that's pretty much all I need to say about Coco. It was pretty obvious where all the gags came from, but Coco was really unique, and it just heralded bigger and better things. And like I said, we've got more coming up from the Fleischers as the show continues. So let's just move along here, finish out this Out of the Inkwell segment, and I will join you very shortly. And that was Out of the Inkwell, the Ouija Board by Max Fleischer for the Bray Studios. Out of the Inkwell, now that I think about it, kind of was a counterpart to Walt Disney's Alice cartoons. The difference was that Alice interacted with the cartoons, and Coco, again popping out of the inkwell, would interact with humans the other way around. We're in the middle of Uncle Slappy's classic cartoon Cavalcade. We've got some sound cartoons coming up, including what I think is probably one of the best things ever done by the Fleischer Studios, coming up in just a moment. But first, I do need to put in a plug. I have a Kickstarter that's got 11 days left on it. Now, there is a link down in the description of this video to the Kickstarter. If you could at least share it, spread it around, hopefully get it a little love, I would appreciate it. Or if you could back the campaign, even with a couple of bucks, I would really appreciate it. I'm about $350 away from my goal. So we're going to take a break here for a word from our sponsor. And this segment of the show is brought to you by me. In March of 2013, Month 9 Books published my young adult superhero novel, Sidekick. It was the story of Bobby Baines, a sidekick who was called up to replace his hero, and that hero is killed in the line of duty. Bobby found himself having to juggle all the usual responsibilities of a high school senior with those of a full-fledged superhero, including trying to track down his predecessor's murderer. As we like to say in the business, getting into Dr. Warhammer's secret lair is easy. Getting into your first choice of colleges is not. In its time, the book attracted a bit of a following, including some rather rabid fans, but as happens all the time, eventually it went out of print. Well, now with the 10th anniversary, I'd like to do a special anniversary edition and a new print run of Sidekick. All the rights have reverted to me. I've commissioned a new front cover and am designing a new back cover. I even have a short story that I wrote between the book and its expected sequel that never got published that I'm going to include as a special feature at the end of the novel. All I need is a little bit of financial backing. I just need $500 to do a complete print run, and I'd like to do it in time to debut the new edition of the book at Nickel City Comic Con in Buffalo this summer. So I'm turning to you. Please help me get this book back in print. There aren't enough young adult books for boys out there, and I'd like to contribute a little to giving boys who love to read something they can read and some good role models that they can follow. So please consider backing the 10th anniversary edition of Sidekick. And welcome back to Uncle Slappy's classic cartoon Cavalcade here on Pabsungenis' YouTube channel. Again, if you could go to the link in the video description and show the project a little love, I would really appreciate it. Getting back to the topic of the Fleischers, sound proved to be a wonderful thing for the Fleischers. They introduced Betty Boop. They picked up Popeye's rights and created pretty much the character as we know him now. But I think that the best work ever done by the Fleischers was their Superman cartoons. It was their first foray into color, and for a lot of people, the Fleischer Superman is pretty much the definitive Golden Age Superman. So, thankfully, a couple of them lapsed into the public domain, so here is a Fleischer Superman cartoon.
Physical strength, Superman fights a never-ending battle for truth and justice, disguised as a mild-mannered newspaper reporter, Clark Kent. Lois, what are you doing here?
Oh, just getting the woman's angle on this story.
The mechanical monster! Look out!
Come on, you fool! You want to get trampled?
Now, you wait here. I'll phone this in. Yes, I'll give you the details later, Chief. All right, Lois. Lois! This is a job for Superman.
What a story this is going to make.
The jewels. What have you done with the jewels?
You'll read about it in tomorrow's paper.
Are you going to tell me what happened to those jewels? Won't tell me. You'll soon change your mind. Superman. when she's doomed.
That's a wonderful story, Lois.
Thanks, Clark, but I owe it all to Superman.
Weatherman's right. We better go south right away. You said it. Winter's coming. Winter's coming.
South. Groundhog says a terrible blizzard's coming.
Go on. That guy don't know his shadow from a hole in the ground.
You'll freeze to death if you stay here.
And you won't have any food either.
Don't worry about me. I got plenty of food. And right now, I'm going swimming. Must be hard water in this lake. Blow your head off. See if I can. It's nice and warm here, and I got plenty of food. Go on and blow. Hey, come back here with my food.
I'm that hungry little kitty cat you just read about. I'm so hungry I could eat a woodpecker. Yeah, that's it.
Pardon me, buddy. That's probably the grocery man. Come in. You're just in time for dinner.
Yeah? What are you gonna have for dinner?
I'm gonna have catfish.
Yeah?
Let me take your scarf.
You know, I think that pigeon tried to choke me.
You must be pretty cold, buddy.
No, I ain't cold.
Oh, yes, you are. Step over by the fire and get warm for dinner. Oh, boy. Feline fricassee.
Fine pigeon. I'm going to pick you dry. Mice. Meat. That was pretty good. But you know I'm still hungry.
Yeah? So am I.
I always loved the early Mel Blanc voiced Woody Woodpecker cartoons. They were just so raw and violent, and Woody was an even bigger jerk than he would be when Grace Stafford was voicing him, and they cleaned him up a little for television and sanitized him. I always liked the raw cartoons. Of course, it could also be that I remember Channel 48 in Philadelphia, where they used to run cartoons from the 40s mixed in with the packages of more modern stuff that you just can't get the rights to anymore, like undubbed Casper the Friendly Ghost cartoons and that sort of thing. Jennifer Kathleen Gibbons noted that the cat in that cartoon kind of looks like Itchy. Yeah, it's your typical, stereotypical, mean cartoon cat. And comments on the Superman cartoon, Robert Turner, extra, extra, Superman knocks out electricity to half the state. Yeah, you always had to wonder, who cleans up after these heroes, huh? Yeah. I forget who, someone else commented, $33 million to save 2 people. Right. One great source of public domain cartoons was World War II, when the studios were doing propaganda cartoons for the American government and training cartoons and that sort of thing. Some of the stuff that came out of it, like Walt Disney's Education for Death, were pure masterpieces, and so was Donald Duck's Der Fuhrer's Face. I'm not showing either of them because other people have shown them to death. But again, I remember the days of Channel 48, and they used to show the World War II cartoons from Warner Brothers in the Bugs Bunny rotations. And if you ask me, just for sheer fun, you can't beat a Warner Brothers propaganda cartoon. In fact, one of them gave the Looney Tunes universe, a character that they would use a few more times down the road.
Get a load of this, folks. It says here, a constant menace to pilots are the gremlins who wreck planes with their diabolical sabotage. Gremlins. Oh, murder. Gremlins. What a fairy tale. Little man. Oh, brother. What's all the hubbub? Bub.
These blockbuster bombs don't go off unless you hit them just right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Hey, Mac. Let me take a whack at it.
What am I doing? Why, you little...
Gasp? Hey, I bet that was a... Say, do you think that... Hey, could that have been a... gremlin?
It ain't Vendelvilke!
Did you hit the head of all of them?
Which way did he go, George? Which way did he go?
That way.
Well, gee, thanks a lot, George. Thanks a lot.
What's the matter, Bunny Rabbit? Speak to me. Why don't you say something?
I'm only 3.5 years old. I like him. He's silly.
folks. We ran out of gas.
Yeah, you know how it is with these A-cards. Learned a secret. It's a honey. It's a pip. But the enemy is listening, so I'll never let it slip. 'Cause when I learn a secret, boy, I zipper up my lip. Now, the military secret that I carry in my brain, I keep in safe deposit with a padlock and chain. You bet I got a secret. And I bet we find it out. The soldier's got a secret, but I bet we find it out. Hello, Ma. I got a secret. I can only drop a tip. Don't breathe a word to no one, but I'm going on a trip. Shh. Don't breathe a word to no one, but he's going on a trip. Hey, give me some magazines to read for when I'm on the ship. Don't breathe a word to no one, but he's going to go by ship. It's a cinch to keep a secret if a fella just takes care. He's sailing on a troop ship. Now we got to find out where. I'm a sound and silent soldier, just as steady as a rock. Here's to my little secret, with its chain and padlock. Say you're a lifty trick. I hope I'll meet some babes in Africa as cute as you are. This message is important. I must rely a double trick. It's been a wonderful evening, and I'd like to stay some more. But I gotta get a move on now. I sail at 4:30. Move on now. He sails at 4:30. Hey, the troop ship bound for Africa pulls out at 4:30. Calling all Wolfpack. Calling all Wolfpack. The transport ship for Africa pulls out at 4:30. Pile! Sauerkraut. He wonders who in hell it was that let his secret out.
And from World War II, Private Snafu, produced by Warner Brothers for the War Department. They did a number of training cartoons with Private Snafu. And of course, you heard Mel Blanc as the voice of Private Snafu, and a very special guest writer on most of those Private Snafu cartoons, in addition to the usual writing staff at Warner Brothers. A number were written, or at least co-written, by Theodore Geisel, better known later on as Dr. Seuss. This is Uncle Slappy's classic cartoon Cavalcade. Braving the bandwidth as best we can. Yeah, Atlantic Broadband is going out of their way to annoy me again tonight. We may have to cut things short, but not too short tonight. I'm going to keep an eye, and as long as I can keep a reasonable amount. We'll keep the cartoons coming, and we'll keep the chat coming. But first, another word from our sponsors.
If you've got a passion for fashion, and you've got a craving for saving, take the wheel of your automobile and swing on down to Ideal.
You can buy 2 outfits for a little more than the regular price of 1 at the Ideal Manufacturing Company. Ideal has everything. So why pay regular prices at regular retail stores? Take this tip. Make the trip to Ideal.
They just might be the best family restaurant in the world. Ed Zaber's in Wildwood, with nearly 3/4 of a century of superb Zaber family dining in an old-world setting. Hearty cuts of the finest prime ribs, freshly caught crabs, scallops, shrimp, and lobster, overflowing bowls of crisp salads, and luscious homemade pastries and desserts. And the home of the Zaberized cocktail. Dinner start at $7.95, children at $3.95. Ed Zaber's off southbound exit 6 of the Garden State Parkway.
Yeah, some of the cartoons that I grew up and some of the commercials that I grew up watching, some of those cartoons, thanks to the folks on YouTube who managed to preserve some of those. This next one is a favorite of Chuck Jones. He considered it some of his best work while he was at Warner Brothers, and it was his favorite. It's not too many people's favorite, which is one of the reasons why it ended up in the rights morass that wound up in the public domain, but I kind of have a soft spot in my head for it as well. It's inspired by a series of stories about the Rover Boys. These are the Dover Boys.
Pimento University. Pimento U. Good old P.U.
Pimento U, oh sweet P.U. Thy fragrant odor scents the air. A pox on Yale, poo-poo Purdue. Pimento U, my college fair. Oh, sweet
Out and away the most popular fellows at, Out and away the most popular fellows at old P.U. are the 3 Dover boys. Tom, the fun-loving member of the trio. Dick, a serious lad of 18 summers, plus a winter in Florida, as related in the Dover boys in the Everglades. And Larry, the youngest of the 3 jerks, brothers. A gay outing at the park has been planned by the merry trio, and they're off to fetch their fiancée, dainty Dora Standpipe, at Miss Cheddar's Female Academy close by. With their usual punctuality, the boys arrive at the appointed hour of 3.
Yoo-hoo! Yoo-hoo! Yoo-hoo!
And are soon on their rollicking way. Forced to pass a certain public house, a tavern of unsavory repute, our young friends meet the distressing situation with their usual uncompromising moral fortitude. Little do they know that even now, within this very tavern, Dan Backslide, the former sneak of Roquefort Hall, coward, bully, cad, and thief, and arch enemy of the Dover boys, squanders his misspent life.
Hark! The Dover boys. Drat them. Double drat them. They are escorting Dora Standpipe. Dear rich Dora Standpipe. How I love her. Father's money. Confound those Dover boys! Oh, how I hate them! I hate Tom! I hate Dick! And I hate Larry! They drive me to drink! Confound them.
Found them! But let us draw the curtain on this sordid scene and turn to more pleasant surroundings, where we find our young friends engaged in a spirited game of hide, go, and seek.
15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55.
No! In here!
No, up here!
No, over here!
Over here. In here.
No, in here!
No, in here. Over here.
Over here!
Up there.
In here!
Over here.
In here!
In here. Over here.
No, here!
Over here.
No, here!
No.
510, 515, 500.
Over here.
Over here!
No,
here!
Whoops. Sorry.
No, here!
Over here. Over here. No! In here! The Dover boys. Then Dora must be alone and unprotected! A runabout. I'll steal it! No one will ever know!
Dora, will no one save her from this predicament? Will no one come to her assistance? But hold on. What's this? It looks like an alert young scout. And that's just what it is. He'll not fail her, I'll venture.
Telegram for the Dover boys. Mrs. Tom, Dick, and Larry, Caraway with Tavern Upper Bottleneck, New York. Says, quote, help! Unquote. Signed Dora. 35 cents collect. Help!
sweet Dora dear, keep courage up and chin held high. The stalwart sons of OPU are here at hand to do or die. P.U., P.U., we're all for you. Yay, boo!
Unhand her, Dan Backslide. Unhand her, Dan Backslide. Unhand her, Dan Backslide. Hey, we're getting in a rut. Stand up and fight, you coward, bully, cat, and thief. Oh, you haven't been thrashed enough yet, eh?
And now it is time to say goodbye. Goodbye.
Why don't you eat? Just tell me once. Why you don't eat your Papa? Eh?
Don't you sabraten Betty.
And when I must once more tell you to eat, then I will right away send you out from the house out. So, you hear? I won't have it. I won't have it. You go to school in the morning and you stay there all day to make hard and you study hard and you come home and you won't get it.
Oh, come on, Daddy.
What's this? What's this? I won't have it. I won't have it. Why did you say something? Why did you say something? And why your father is not? What's this? What's it loose? What's this? Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. Do not touch us. I won't have it. I won't have it.
Always pick on me. They never let me be. I'm so very lonely. Awfully sad. It's a long time since you've been glad. But I know what I'll do. By and by, I'll eat some worms and then I'll die. When I'm gone, you wait and see. They'll all be sorry that they picked on me. Now hello, Bimbo. I'm leaving home.
Yeah, I'll go with you. Meet me under your window.
Okay.
was a red-hot hoochie coocher. She was the roughest, toughest frail. Many had a heart as big as a whale. Ho-dee-ho, ho-dee-ho, hidey-hidey-hidey. Hee-dee-hee-dee-hee. Ho-dee-ho-dee-ho. She messed around with a bloke named Smokey. She loved him though he was cokey. He took her down to Chinatown. He showed her how to kick the gong around. Showed her how to kick the gong around. Howdy, 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 howdy. She had a dream about the king of Sweden. He gave her things that she was needing. He gave her a home built of gold and steel, a diamond car with the platinum wheels. Oh, skip-bop-doot-dot, let it do. Oh, skip-bop-doot-dot, let it do. Skip-bop-de-goo-gee-skip-bop-de-goo. Skip-bop-de-goo-gee-skip-bop-de-goo. Skip-bop-dun-dun-dun-dun-daddy-o. Skip-bop-dun-dun-dun-daddy-o. Hidey-hidey-ho. Hidey-hidey-ho. He gave her his townhouse and his racing horses. Each meal she ate was a dozen courses. She had $1 million worth of nickels and dimes. She sat around and counted them all 1,000,000 times. Oh, dee-ho, dee-ho, oh, dee-ho, 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 dee-ho.
And I'll give you a moment now to turn your volume down. Again, if you had to turn it up for Cap Calloway. All right. Minnie the Moocher with Betty Boop and Bimbo from the Fleischer Studios. A true classic and a real great example of the affinity that early cartoons had for jazz. This next one has a trigger warning on it. It is definitely problematic by today's standards, but I'm including it for one historical purpose. Those of you who were with me in January when we did the Bad TV live stream, I ended it with a Tom and Jerry cartoon from the Van Buren Tom and Jerry, who had absolutely no relationship with the MGM cat and mouse duo. Well, Van Buren, while they were doing the Tom and Jerry cartoons, were trying to ink a deal to do cartoons based on a black vaudeville comedy team called Miller and Lyles, and to feature them in cartoons. Well, the deal ended up falling through, but they'd already had Miller and Lyles record audio for a sample cartoon, and it had been pretty much finished. So what's Van Buren going to do? Well, they're going to turn it into a Tom and Jerry cartoon in the worst possible way.
Africa, we'll be heroes. Look, there's Africa. We'll disguise ourselves.
Well, I'm so glad to see you again. Wonder how far we is from land. About 20 knots? How come they got knots in the ocean? Traffic in waves gets heavy. When it gets tangled, it makes knots. Look at that. Look at that. I didn't want to go to Africa. Wait a minute. Is we in Africa? No, we ain't in Africa. Does it look like we is gonna get to Africa? It sure don't. Then what has you got to kick about? Stop that tickling me. You stop tickling me. This ain't no time for us to be laughing. Little fishes in the brook. Look here, man. These are sharks. Will they eat you? If they don't, they'll sure mess you up plenty. We's running, ain't we? But we ain't getting no place. Something fishy about this. We've been saved by a submarine. So, this is a whale. Where is he going? Well, Kim, I don't speak whaling. He's going too fast. How is we going to stop him? Get on his nose and smother him. We're in the same place together. What was that? How do I know?
Aye, Wordsman. Jerry, turn loose my leg. I ain't holding your leg. Jerry, you ain't holding me? No. Jerry, please say yes, you is holding me. Good Lord, I'm ready, indeed I'm ready. Oh, good Lord, I'll be ready when the great day comes of glory, hallelujah. Ready, indeed I'm ready. Oh, good Lord, I'll be ready when the great day comes. Yo! Yo!
Yes, big enough for us. You're not so it's no girl, is it? First and ever counts when they're out down here with them.
you boil.
And from the Warner Brothers team of harmonizing Smile, Darn Ya Smile. Yeah, Foxy did not last long for Warner Brothers. Even back then, Walt Disney had some pretty good lawyers in his pocket. Foxy was an attempt to come up with a character to replace Bosco, who became a joke unto himself when his cartoons were rerun on Cartoon Network back in the 90s. Harmonizing never really quite managed to gel with audiences while they were with Warner Brothers, and of course, time would go on before they would finally have a success with Porky Pig. I'm getting ready to wrap things up. I've got one more cartoon coming up. It's another propaganda one from World War II, and it's kind of timely nowadays. And we'll have that coming up right after another word from our sponsor.
Let's all go where the fun is. Take a special day or plan a weekend trip and visit the #1 family fun stop on the Jersey Shore, Hunt's Pier, located on the main boardwalk from Poplar to Juniper Avenues in Wildwood by the Sea, New Jersey. Hunt's Pier is now open from 12:30 p.m. till midnight daily. On Hunt's Pier, there are thrilling rides and entertainment for all, for the young and those who like to feel young again. There's whirling fun and sky-high fun, from the fire coaster to the satellite jets. There's talk-of-the-walk rides, such as the Golden Nugget Mine Ride, Jungle Land, and the pirate ship Skua. Thrill seekers ride the Himalaya, the Tip Top, the El Scrambler, and the Hot Rods. It's true. Families find more fun at Hunt's Pier, the oceanic wonderland on the Wildwood Boardwalk.
Yeah, more childhood memories. Hunt's Pier pretty much burned down. It was a huge fire trap, and what was left of it was bought up by its main competitor, Maury's Pier, and they're still operating today. In fact, I was just watching an update, and most of the area that was Hunt's Pier, they ended up tearing down again, and they're building something fresh. I'm going to try to get down to Wildwood sometime this summer and take a look at things. I'm going to wrap up with one more propaganda cartoon from World War II. This one is from Disney this time. And while they had, like I said, some brilliant ones like Education for Death, or really entertaining ones like Der Fuhrer's Face, this one was not one, but its message didn't really lend itself to comedy. It lent itself to gigantic bombast. It was all about the importance of paying your taxes, to keep our boys marching on the land, marching on the sea, and marching in the air to win against the Nazi foe. Here's Donald Duck in the spirit of 43.
Yes, payday. Millions of dollars pouring into the hands of the American worker. Now, in the mind of the average worker live two separate personalities. One, the thrifty.
Wait a bit, laddie. You're going to save a bit of that, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oftentimes, idle money burns a hole in your pocket, which brings out the other personality. The spendthrift.
Hi, big shot. Come on with me. I'll show you how to spend your dough.
Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy.
I got a couple of good dates.
But, laddie, I've got some better dates.
Important ones, too. When every American should pay his or her income tax gladly and proudly. This year, thanks to Hitler and Hirohito, taxes are higher than ever before. Will you have enough money on hand to meet your payments when they fall due?
We'll take care of that later. Forget it, forget it.
But you don't want to forget our fighting men, do you?
No, sir.
Then you'll have to start saving right away to meet your tax payments.
Listen, chum. Spend it. It's your dough.
Yeah, it's my dough.
Aye, laddie. It's your dough. But it's your war, too. You must save for victory.
What's money for? Spend it. Shoot the works.
Nay, you must save it. Spend. Save.
Spend, save, spend, save, spend, save, spend, save, spend, spend, save.
Well, now what are you going to do? Spend for the Axis? Or save for taxes? Just remember, every dollar you spend for something you don't need is a dollar spent to help the Axis. That's right. And every dollar you sock away for taxes is another dollar to sock the Axis. For it is your taxes, my taxes, our taxes that run the factories. American factories, working day and night. Factories making guns, machine guns, anti-tank guns, long-range guns, guns, all kinds of guns. To blast the aggressors from the seas. Taxes for American factories, working full blast, making planes. Bombers, dive bombers, flying fortresses, interceptors, stalk the birds of prey that fly by night. Taxes to bury the Axis. Taxes. Taxes for ships, battleships, battle cruisers, destroyers, all kinds of battle wagons. Taxes to sink the Axis. Taxes to keep them flying. Taxes to keep them rolling. Taxes to keep them coming. Taxes to beat to earth the evil destroyer of freedom and peace. This is our fight. The fight for freedom. Freedom of speech, of worship. Freedom from want and fear. Taxes will keep democracy on the march.
And yeah, not quite the artistic peak of Disney propaganda, but still, it did its job. We are still here today, aren't we? Well, that does it for this month's live stream. Thank you all for hanging out with me. Thank you for everyone in the chat. I do have to give a shout out to Robbie Mata, whose father poked his head in the chat early on and said that he wanted to be here tonight, but he had to go over to a friend's house, so he's going to watch a replay of it. So, hello, Robbie. I hope you made it through, and if you decided to sneak a phone over to your friend's house and you're watching right now instead of doing something with your friends, well, I'm not going to tell your dad. All right. He owes me a couple already. So that's going to do it for this month. I do have another 13-week theater in the works. Maybe not next week, but it will be coming very soon. Like I said, work has been knocking me out, but it's people like you folks, all 8 of you who stuck with me until the end here and saw it through. I'm probably going to have to try to build up a studio of my own at home, get some better lighting, get some sound baffling, because the ISP here at work just, it sucks. So I will advertise right before I do another live stream, so you can all come and hang out with me again. So everyone, have a good night, and I will see you later on.
WSJT TV 65 now concludes its broadcast day. WSJT, owned and operated by Renaissance Broadcasting Corporation, Richard Milstead, trustee, broadcasts on an assigned frequency of 776 to 782 megahertz, as authorized by the Federal Communications Commission. Our offices and studio are located at 4449 North Delsey Drive and Brown Road in Vineland, New Jersey. And our transmitter is located in Waterford Works, New Jersey. On behalf of the employees and management of WSJT, this is Brian Eckert, wishing you a good night.